And food co-ops, I think, is the best. It was the easiest way for me to come to understand what a cooperative is. So Park Slope Food Co-op in New York has 13,000 members. There's a lot of smaller co-ops, and they started 13,000 members now, but they started with, I think, maybe 10 or 30 people who wanted a certain kind of groceries, maybe healthier, maybe better for the environment, maybe delivered locally. So they got together, and I think they didn't have a storefront at first, which is really common. Maybe it was someone else's storefront, maybe it was out of their house, and that was a great model. And then they decided to get a storefront, and then you have more cost, you have more administrative. But I really like this idea of what can you do without a lot of cost and without a lot of administrative. So just, we want groceries. Who wants groceries? Okay, you're signed up. We pay some money. Cooperative. And so with capitalism and cooperatives, there's a lot of great books on management and leadership, and Good to Great by Jim Collins is a classic, and all the capitalists and all the cooperatives love it, I think. And so what are the principles? So which companies on the stock market outperform the others by 10 times or something like that over a certain number of years? So which are the best capitalist companies to make money? It turns out it's the ones where CEOs have certain qualities, where they are considerate of other people, where they're, I guess humble is a word in the book. They don't put themselves first. If they could choose to get a huge compensation or choose to spend the money on investing in services, they would rather invest in services and get paid enough. Do well, but it's not all about them. And so that's good principles. And Good to Great has a great thing. It says asking, what's your one business that you do so well that you're the best in the world? And I really like thinking about that. So if you're a doctor, or if you have a house, you're the best in the world at something. And you're not going to be the best in the world at providing services to everybody in the world, but maybe in your neighborhood, maybe you know everybody. And so you're the best of the world at knowing people and making them feel like someone cares about them and providing medical services. It's a really simple, what are you great at? Yeah, Dunbar?
With how your thing makes it best CEO, would that generally mean that the company doesn't pay as much?
Well, I can't hear him.
Money, that a company doesn't have to pay as much money to get a good CEO, these fantastic salaries?
So after paying a certain amount of money to a CEO, is there value? And a lot of capitalists have looked at this and they've found there's actually a disincentive after making a certain amount of money for someone to get paid more, especially if it's based on stock market performance. So yeah, you don't need to pay the very top dollar to have the very best person. Yeah.
Well, we have food co-op in Vancouver, and I know the person who founded it quite well. It is up and very successful now, but in order to start the co-op, it was quite expensive to join. I couldn't afford to join.
Okay.
So now it's too upscale even for me to shop there. I thought, well, I'll shop there when they get going. But their stuff is too expensive and it's too exotic. Everything is organic.
Yeah.
But so I think they kind of made a mistake in being too expensive.
So it sounds like they're not the best in the world for you because they're too expensive and they're exotic. It's not right for you.
Yeah, I think they could be more successful if they were more like an average grocery store.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know in the long run if they will succeed. I hope they do, though.
Yeah.
But two things. They started with no money, but they charged quite a bit to be a member, and that's where their capital came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have any capital, it shows how you could do it. But it took a long time to get enough people who would spend that much money.
Yeah.
They weren't able to start. How many years do you think it took them to get that started?
About 2, I think. And there was somebody that would be at the farmer's market signing up people for memberships on a little table. So it was, it was kind of exciting to see that, from somebody sitting at a table, something did happen, at that farmer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the guy who founded it, it was work. He spent his whole life doing that for several years, and he's still working on it.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and we'll get to this in talking about collective agency. It sounds like there were some choices made by people running it on, would it be like a regular grocery store in certain ways, or would it be exotic in certain ways? Would they charge high or low? Would they make it affordable to everyone, or just to people who had a certain amount of money? So it sounds like they made some choices, and it sounds like it's working for those choices. And it sounds like you'd like it to be different, which is fine.
Well, it's how long has it been going now? For about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I hope that it makes it.
Uh-huh.
You know.
I would-
Isn't it also about how you measure the success?
Yeah. So measuring success, I'll also talk
Kinda
about.
depends on your goals and your agenda.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would like to add a topic to the big discussion.
Yeah.
In terms of the United States has the most poverty of any developed nation in the world, or considering how rich we are, we have too much. Is a cooperatives a good way to end endemic poverty in our country and get more people participating instead of having victims of the war on drugs? We could get actual jobs and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think active participation is really important for any governance, whether it's a business or a country or a state.
But maybe we could
yeah.
discuss maybe opening up cooperatives in problem area areas where there's a lack of employment, or grocery stores, and
Yeah.
like South Central LA. I'll just throw that out there, not never having been there or anything.
Yeah. So there's in Portland. They're called food deserts. There's a lot of areas where it's hard to get good quality food, and there are some people doing some things. There's something called My Street Grocery. I've heard her talk. But yeah, would it be a good business opportunity to go into an area where no one is selling oranges and orange juice and other healthy things, and the only alternatives are soda? It might be a really good business opportunity, and it might be really valuable for people, which would be the reason to do it.
Right.
But you could probably make a whole lot of money if you're the only store selling orange juice. Because orange juice is not that much more expensive than soda, even with all the current system.
And then, there was a big migration of African Americans from the South to my hometown of Chicago, and they moved up there for industrial jobs, and then we deindustrialized, and there's no jobs up there.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a way to reindustrialize or regrow the economies in those areas, so there's not all this fighting between, it's a political football as to what the problem is, and people end up blaming the victims. So I'm wondering if we could talk about, solving that problem in our country through this way.
Yeah, I think so. And I'd like, so we'll do the breakout groups.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's an issue.
Okay, thanks.
For you. Yeah, thank you. So in traditional business, just a few other references that are also really relevant to cooperatives. There's a book called Confidence by Rosabeth Moss Kanter, and her first book was on communes. It's called Commitment and Community. It's a bright pink book. She sort of said in the 1960s or 70s, what's working really well for these cooperatives? What are the actual trends and results? And then recently she wrote a book called Confidence, which when I started a cooperative in a company, I sort of showed some people the book, software guys, marketing, sales, and they said, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And basically the 3 principles in the book, accountability, collaboration, and initiative. So doing what you'll say you'll do and being able to be checked, working with people, and starting stuff, having initiative. So that's really good for any kind of business or neighborhood. And there's a book called Strengths Finder 2.0, which I found recently, and there's probably hundreds and thousands and millions of books that are really good. Strengths Finder, what I learned from that is you can sort of guess what some of the things you're really great at and like doing are. When you feel strong, what qualities do you have? So for me, learning, getting results, different things. And for you, they might be the same, they might be different. And then you say, oh, these are what I really do well. And the other stuff, I need to find someone to do that because I don't want to do it. So, yeah. Should we move into collective agency as case study and do breakout?